Today's guest is homeopath Jiri Cehovsky in Prague, who has been practicing since 1980. In 1992, Jiri founded a homeopathic school in Prague, from which many Czech homeopaths have since graduated. In 2002, he discovered the usefulness of the autopathic principle. So auto means self and pathy means disease, as opposed to homeopathy, where homeo means similar and pathy means disease. So autopathy is same but different to homeopathy, and we'll talk about that more today. Jiri has also invented a tool for reliable home preparation of autopathic dilutions, and he has been developing this method further over the past 20 years. He documented his findings in 3 books. The first is Autopathy, A Homeopathic Journey to Harmony. The second is Get Well with Autopathy, and the third one is the Autopathy Handbook. He has also published many articles in the journal Autopathy.com, which in 2022 gave him the award Pioneer in Homeopathy. He regularly organizes seminars and webinars on autopathy. More information about Jiri and his method can be found at www.autopathy.com. If you would like to purchase any of Jiri's books, there will be a link in the show notes, and it will include my referral link from Amazon. So I do get a small kickback from that, which helps me to continue producing more episodes. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now my mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangouts. Today, we get to speak with homeopath Jiri Cehovsky in Prague. Welcome to the show, Jiri.
Thank you for your invitation, and I'm prepared to explain possibly in 30 minutes.
I'm excited. Well, we do have a little bit longer if you need to. So we've got like 45. Okay. We can go to an hour if we need to. But I have a funny question to ask you before we start. I have a very good Czech friend, and he once told me this word, stick your finger through your neck. And it sounds very funny if you say that in Czech. Can you say stick your finger through your neck in your language? You can't. Okay. It sounded something like skrch, 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 skrch.
Yes, that's right. We have it.
So tell us a little bit, Jiri, how were you first introduced to homeopathy?
It was 20 years ago, and in my practice, I had, of course, also cases which didn't develop well after well-selected remedies, you know it. And so I was looking around how to help them. And simply it was a logic in this matter, because if can help the preparation from a snake or from a camel or from a dog and cat, it's also possible to make preparation from people, from man or woman. So the first what comes in account is saliva, of course, because saliva brings information about the man and also information about parasites living in the digestive system. So I tried to use it first on my family, of course. And the test had positive results, which was very convincing, not only for me, but for people concerned, really. And so I was giving it to people who didn't develop the best way after homeopathic remedy. I was classical homeopath, and I am till now, and I prescribe following totality of symptoms and all this. So constitutional prescribing, I teach it at my homeopathic school in Prague for 30 years. And I can say hundreds of Czech homeopaths passed the studies in the school and practice now successfully. And it was a development. And in some cases, in cases of incurable chronic diseases, that's why people come to homeopaths, because there are so many incurable diseases now around us. And people speaking about it and recommending this method. So I got more and more clients asking directly for autopathic treatment. So I gathered hundreds of cases, and I was carefully recording all what they said. in the first interview and also follow-up interviews. And I have also cases which under my supervision for 20 years now, only on autopathy. And these people originally came with allergies, asthma, bronchial asthma, or depression, sleeplessness, and this big range of chronic migraines, even with inner diseases of inner organs. And all these people tried before not only homeopathy, but also allopathy, of course, and they were helped by autopathy. I wrote about it 3 books. The first book are available in English. The first book is How I Came to Autopathic Treatment and how it has developed from my practice. And the second is I published it, I wrote it about 5 years after that. Is this
Get
one,
Well with Autopathy.
contains about 20 cases, 50 or more cases of incurable problems cured. And this is
what is the name of that first book that you held up? Because I've just realized that our listeners that haven't got the video. So Get Well with Autopathy is the one?
Yeah, it's my second book, and it contains also the system, how to proceed. So many people were practicing only after reading the book, not only in my country, but also in America, Canada, and Europe. So it's also a handbook too.
Okay.
But the latest work on the topic is
Autopathy
Handbook was published in 217, and it contains all these methods, and I tried to give there a system which can help people really work also without an advisor, and they really get results, because we organize every year annual conference. And it is usually in January or February, and there gather about 200 people, and all of them skillful in autopathy and with experienced advisors. And they speak about their cases. It's the content of the conference.
Oh, wow. And is it usually held in Prague or somewhere else?
Yes, it's always in Prague.
Oh, wow.
Except last 2 years, it wasn't able to organize gathering because it was prohibited. And therefore, it was in Zoom program. But our experiences with Zoom are very good.
Yeah,
I must say there is only lack of personal contact, which is also very amazing, because people made friendships during breaks at conferences, and contact with other counselors and all this, which now wasn't possible. But I believe that we will return to whole conferences. One very interesting contribution to conference about 3 years ago was by Susan Houghton from Massachusetts, and she has practiced there, and her speech is available at our English website, autopathy.com.
Okay, amazing. I know that you were so excited to speak about autopathy. So when I asked at the start, how did you first get into homeopathy? I think you heard autopathy. So just for our listeners, Jiri hasn't been practicing only for 20 years. The autopathy has been the last 20 years, but you've been doing homeopathy since 1980, like when I was 1 year old. That is amazing. How did you first discover homeopathy? Like, what made you decide to want to be a homeopath?
It was by chance, I think, because all our family was ill, including children, small children, and we were visiting very often doctors and giving antibiotics and all these practices without any positive results, and this bronchitis were repeated, and I was also, the doctor told me that I will have it until I die. So At this moment, my sister, she was living in England, sent me many books about autopathy because her friend was about homeopathy, sorry, because her friend was studying at that time homeopathic school in London. And I started to read it and to practice first on my family and then also with my friends. I was working at the time as in publishing for children. And also my colleagues were losing their allergies after well-selected remedy, which I was forced to make by myself because homeopathy was prohibited by communist regime.
Really?
Yeah, it was prohibited because from ideological reasons.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because we work with immaterial substances, which was prohibited by communists.
Wow.
Materialism was obligatory at that time. And after break of communism, I started to practice regularly. And I also co-founded a Homeopathic Society, where at the beginning it was for doctors, medical doctors only. I was in the committee and we had about 600 members very soon, which was really a huge
Just in
movement.
Prague?
It was Czechoslovakia at that time.
Okay. Still, though, that's a lot of people. It's a lot of homeopaths.
Yeah. And I wrote also some radio plays which were broadcasted by state radio and such things. So my effort was to establish homeopathy here. And I founded also the School for Homeopathy, which runs until today, and tomorrow we start the first class.
Oh,
again.
Really? Oh, that's special.
A new first class.
Wow, Jiri, you have done a lot. That is incredible. You've certainly not been sitting around idly, that's for sure. So tell us a little bit more about autopathy, because when we have a Facebook group, it's called Homeopathy Hangout Podcast Facebook group, and it's for the listeners of the show, and it's for guests who have been on the show that want to come and join the Facebook group to talk about, past episodes and to ask and give suggestions on which guests to have. And somebody in the group said to get in touch with you. And when I went to your website, I saw what you do. I was so excited because autopathy is something that for some reason just really resonates with me. It's the ultimate like cures like, because, I guess the same cures same, but auto obviously for our listeners means self and pathy means disease. So it's just kind of taking homeopathy to another level, and it gets me really excited. So tell us a little bit more about the method. How do we go about this?
The basic principles I can only describe. It's the simplest method is from saliva. It's always holistic method because we treat vital force, not spleen or depression or throat or inflammation in the throat, etc. We really treat vital force as stated by Hahnemann 200 years ago. So all diseases are caused by disturbance of vital force. So we must to make it finer, to touch the fine matter vital force, the information from the saliva. And we use it for this reason, Autopathy Bottle. It's a glass tool which I designed 20 years ago.
And for anyone listening right now that can't see what Jiri is holding up, it's this incredibly interesting glass contraption that he designed himself. And if you go on YouTube, there is actually a video there of him with this contraption, and you can purchase it through his website, I believe. And it is all patented.
So it's very simple tool, which also its use is very straightforward without any sophisticated methods which are necessary to study, etc. So only we give to this Autopathy Bottle only one page of user guide of instruction how to do it from saliva, this fine matter potency. And we do it that we spit in the funnel, which is in the upper part, and then we splash it by water, clean water, to the vortex chamber, which is the round part at the bottom. And here it's gradually diluted to fine matter state. And so by 1 liter of water reach 40 C homeopathic dilution of saliva of the person which is to be treated. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, because I did have a quick look, obviously not long enough. So you're actually pouring so you're spitting into it first, and then you're pouring a liter of water into that funnel, and that goes into that bulb.
Yeah,
and of course, it's pouring out the other end.
Here it makes a vortex in the round chamber, vortex chamber, I call it in my books, and it goes out to the waste.
Oh, we're going to have to put this on the YouTube channel.
And during 1 or 3 or 20 sometime liters of water, we reach potencies 40 C or 1 M or 10 M. Some people use also. Yeah.
How would you know what the potency is?
I described it in my first book by ink test, that I gave an ink to the vortex chamber and poured water, and I was observing when it will be completely transparent and without any color. And at this moment, I saw that it's about some amount of water which makes it. And I also did the same experiment with Korsakoff dilution.
I don't know.
And I found that this amount of liters poured through Autopathy bottle is corresponding the number of diluting steps of Korsakoff method. And there is some simple mathematics that I can say that 1 liter makes 40 C, because it's comparison with Korsakoff method. And it all comes from my knowledge of Finke potencies. Bernard Finke was a homeopath in New York at the end of 19th century, and his Finke potencies are made in laboratory by only pouring water through a vessel, so without shaking and and all this. And Kent says about these Finke potencies that they are always reliable, and they are also prepared by some homeopathic pharmacies in Europe. So until now. So it's in fact, but I added also the vortex, which is very important here and which makes complete work, I think.
I am fascinated by that, because I'll admit I was reading through, because on your website there's actually like a PDF and that kind of explains how it works, but I'm a very visual person. I need to see the thing that you're holding and where it goes. So I didn't quite understand it when I was reading through the PDF, but now that you've held it up and you've explained it, I completely get it. And it makes so much sense, because if you were to make your own saliva remedy, you'd have to spit into a little bottle, shake it, pour it out, and then, or like put 1 drop of that into another one, then shake it, like do that to get it up to a 30. So your way is very quick. So you could literally make a remedy from your own spit in like a minute or something.
Yeah, it takes minutes.
Yeah. Incredible.
So you can 1 minute and you can reach 40 C potency. It's really very fast. And I also found in my practice that in autopathy, we usually need higher potencies than in homeopathy. For instance, in the beginning in homeopathy, we can use even 5C, C5 or C9 or such things. But in autopathy, we really start usually with 60C. Even in weakest vitalities, we start with potency of 60C and go up then. And this is a system. It is not a simple process. So to work with potencies is the main knowledge, the main art in autopathy. To work with potencies, and really it's very important to find the right potency for every person, which is individual. Yeah. So, but It's not so complex. I explained it in my book that we established the potency according to vitality of the person. So very weak persons, 80 years old and with heart disease, such things, they have low vitality and they start with only 1 liter or 1 liter and a half. But children with eczema start with 6 liters because it's high vitality, young age, and also superficial problem on the skin only. And so we start with 6 liters. So we are only 2 possibilities and one between, which is mainly used counselors and also people who treat themselves at the beginning. But then we can go up, and this is the knowledge behind this name, autopathy. And we have also different kinds of preparation according to overall state of the person. For instance, we found that the best influence is, for instance, for people who suffer with candida and digestive problems, that it's made from boiled saliva, where parasites or bacteria are present in the system which harm, then it's boiled breath.
Oh, wow.
Boiled saliva. And if it is, for instance, Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis is of this kind for boiled saliva, while diseases of breathing system, well, lungs and all this is boiled breath.
So you're breathing in the apparatus.
Yeah, it's that we decline the autopathy bottle so that the water is in tubes like this. It makes a surface here, and we bubble through nostrils.
Oh, wow.
Left and then right, and then we boil it. For instance, in cases of asthma or such things. Also, diseases of heart or veins are treated by boiled breath. But we can also mix breath and saliva in one preparation, and then it can affect both problems, digestive and also breathing and also veins, all this. So I go now maybe too deep into our system, but all this is described mainly in the book Autopathy Handbook. And there is all in short described, and there is also about 50 cases where I demonstrate how it worked with first interview and then follow-up interviews, and how we change the potency and the method of preparation.
Wow.
All this is described in books, and I know that people can successfully practice only according to the book. But we also organize seminars on internet, and the nearest one will be very soon, about I think in October. You will find necessary at the website of autopathy.com.
Amazing. Hey, let's have a quick little break, and then we'll be back. Excellent. And we're back from the break. Jiri, I have another couple of questions for you. So why would you boil a substance rather than just use just the normal saliva? Or would you sometimes use the saliva and sometimes boil it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Soon after discovering the autopathic principle, I had cases where severe inflammation was present, and simple saliva worked a little, but didn't finish the work. And at this moment, I was studying a very important chapter in the history of homeopathy about nosodes. And for instance, the beginning of 20th century was treated tuberculosis by the bacillus of tuberculosis, which was put in alcohol, 90% of alcohol, and left there for some time and then potentized. So this bacteria of tuberculosis were killed by alcohol and then potentized and then given to ill people, and it helped them. It was a big problem at the beginning of 20th century, the tuberculosis. Many young people died for it. But my current of thoughts was that alcohol brings also foreign information in the preparation, because alcohol has its own homeopathic picture.
Yeah.
So the similarity is lower than in autopathic preparation if we add alcohol to it. So my next step in my thoughts was to boil it, because it's the same. It kills bacteria and viruses and all this stuff, but it doesn't bring any foreign information to the preparation. Really, I tried both with alcohol and also with boiling, and it proved to be more effective with boiling. So I was right in this reasoning that the foreign information wasn't present and it was more effective in treatment of ill people.
That is very, very cool. And I've seen you use like a little kitchen or a little flambe burner at the bottom of the autopathy vessel, and then just boil it that way. Interesting.
It's very important to use burner, not candle or lighter, because this produce carbon particles and smell. And all this are impurities which can go also inside autopathy bottle and really bring lower effectiveness or destroy an effectiveness. And therefore I recommend a burner which has no smell. Such burners are normally sold at internet. It's not my invention. Everybody can buy it at internet and use it. And it's perfect.
Amazing. Now, what other body substances do you use in autopathy? So can you use menstrual blood and poo and tears?
Me and my pupils were trying all possible, maybe, and we were discussing about it at conferences also. But what I recommend now, some fluids from body were not useful. For instance, blood. It's surprising that blood had mixed results. Worst, it proved less reliable than saliva or breath. Because my explanation is that if you puncture the skin, it's wound. So it is not information from a healthy organism as saliva from the whole organism, but information directly from local wound. And blood loses its structure immediately after pouring from the wound. And so I don't know, but we don't recommend blood, and you will not find mention about blood in any of my books.
That's very interesting.
So, because we found that it gives mixed results and it's not reliable and it's not good for autopathy. The same, we were using also urine, especially in cases of inflammation of bladder. But again, these inflammations were usually solved by boiled breath or boiled breath and saliva together. And only in some cases we use this. And again, it's not so important, and I don't recommend it, because most of our experiences are really with saliva and breath and prana. And
I was hoping you'd talk about that.
Information from seventh chakra, from the seventh chakra, which is over the head, about 15 centimeters over the head. And it was, it's nice that it was, I found this principle also by chance. And It was one of my clients, a woman, who asked me that she doesn't wish to continue with bodily information and that she wishes to make it directly from prana. And my immediate answer was, okay, you have a seventh chakra, and so put the water in the seventh chakra, the water in the autopathy bottle, and then potentize it, and we will see. Because it's your order to do it from a subtle part of the organism. And she didn't succeed. I learned after second visit. So meantime, I studied, for instance, pictures in pyramids in Egypt. In Egypt, I wasn't in Egypt. I was by my computer, of course, and I saw that human persons have always a ball shining to them, which is about 15 or 20 centimeters above the head, while animal persons at these pictures have it directly on the head. Oh. So I advise to many of my clients then to hold it 15 or 20 centimeters in the center of the seventh chakra. And it worked really sometimes miraculously, especially in the cases of depression. I have some videos which I show at my seminars where people refer what it was doing with them after administration of this, and we put always the result on the skin of seventh chakra. Yeah, bodily information as well as from prana. We wet this part between eyebrows. It's a well-known part of man from
in the third eye, in the area of the third eye.
Yeah. So, and it worked, and I had even immediate results. That a very depressed woman told me on my video, which I showed to students, that in the second day she was completely free of depression.
Wow!
After years of different attempts to get rid of it.
I think I saw a testimonial as well in one of your YouTube videos, and it was a lady, I'm guessing in Czech Republic, and it was translated into English, but she said, she was giving her testimonial as well.
Yeah. There is also one new testimonial from an American woman who treated by autopathy her daughter, and it was depression, food allergy, and depression was gone, and food allergy greatly improved. So these references are usually surprising. Sometimes we have difficult cases, and we have a lot of work to improve them, while other people go very fast up their feeling and health and all that. So it's interesting that something is in this ability to improve very much, or disability is hidden inside the person. I call it karma, because in the European languages we have no name for this inner state which is invisible. But even people with very serious problems in mind and body were improving. And sometimes people ask me, of course, if I have unsuccessful cases. And I say, yes, of course. Of course, it's not possible to cover 100% of clients. Some clients didn't come for follow-up, for instance, because they had so strong opposition in the family. They stopped, for instance, to do it because the husband was materialist and he was angry to see his wife to do it. Yeah. So it has also some cultural opposition, but it's maybe the main reason why it doesn't spray in the world as much as I wish.
Yeah. So, Jiri, do you find in general that people tend to have big aggravations from their autopathic remedies, or are the aggravations not generally that bad, or is it about similar to what a normal remedy would be?
Yes, it's not seen so often as in homeopathy, but it can really happen sometime. It's not serious usually, and the development follows, which is very important, Hering's laws of cure, which is that the healing intelligence always at first treats and improve inner organs, then the surface. Yeah. So it goes automatically in autopathy. So in every case, almost every case, you can really, after careful examination of the development, see that first improve something inside, then outside, which is in homeopathy a sign of very well-selected remedy.
Exactly. So Hering's law of cure, just for our listeners, we have mentioned it a few times, but it's that the body heals from the top to the bottom and from the inside out, and from the most recent complaint to the oldest complaint.
Yeah, I have doubts only about the rule from above downward, because in some cases it didn't work. in
well, at the end of the day, the body is going to heal itself however it sees fit, and it's not going to listen to Hering if it doesn't want to, as long as the person is better at the end of the day. Jiri, is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners before we finish off? And do you want to tell them how they can get hold of your books, and also if they want to purchase your Autopathy bottle or anything like that? We will have it in the show notes, but is there any last messages you want to share with us, and how people can get hold of you and your books?
All information is at autopathy.com, where all you need for practicing, including information about seminars and of course tools for practicing, etc. And it's also possible to meet me at the introducing seminar in 1 month at Zoom, and it's also possible to look at my articles at hpathy.com, where published about 11 or 12 articles during a long time, during last 10 years. They even gave me an award for pioneering in homeopathy. So it was a pleasure for me to learn this. Okay, so if you type autopathy in Google, you will find all the results. And also at Amazon.com are books and other things needed for autopathy.
Amazing.
So everybody, it's in the reach of every man or woman in the world, but there is the cultural barrier, cultural hindrance to it, because homeopaths say, why Hahnemann didn't teach autopathy, and etc. But I found in the work of Hahnemann, he was the first who used autopathy, because when living in Paris, he was over 80 years old. He had a case of a nobleman with tuberculosis, and well-selected homeopathic remedies didn't help him. But Hahnemann, ever experimenting man, took his saliva, potentitis, and received good results after that. But he didn't time to incorporate fully this new method to his work, because he was too old simply, and he needed to finish his work. We started 30 years before that, so it's our task now to continue in it.
Well, Hahnemann would be proud of you, Jiri. I am very sure he would be very proud of you. Thank you so much for your time today. It was wonderful to speak with you. And I know our listeners will be very excited about all these new possibilities that maybe they've been working with a homeopath and not been getting good results. And, some things are not shifting. And maybe this is the answer that they need. So thank you for sharing that with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me, and I wish you great success.